Yeah, hi everyone. So we're going to start working on a banking application. This is basically a CLI application, a command line application. So normally your banking app would be like on a mobile device or on a web app. Okay, but I want to just focus on the functionality. So that's why we're doing it on the CLI. It's going to be your standard command line application, something that would run on this type of interface. Okay, all right. So these are the features we're going to be working on. It's going to have account creation or sign up, so a user should be able to create their account on the app. Okay, and then they'll have an account number that they can use to transact. So they're also going to have login, so which they can, they should be able to log into the system. So if you have an existing account, you can log in, and you can also do some things with your account. You can manage certain aspects of your account, which includes managing your transaction pin, either setting up a new pin or changing an existing pin. And you should also be able to change your password as well. Then we're going to have the fund transfer feature, which allows you to transfer money from your account to other accounts. Okay, so if you have, let's say, 100,000, you want to transfer 20,000 to an actual account, you can do that. Okay, so this will be between accounts within the platform. So if I have an account and another person has an account, you should be able to transfer from my account to that person's account. Okay, and not just to any account. Okay, so then we have account number lookup. So usually before you transfer, you usually put the account number and the name of the bank, and with that there's this validation that occurs behind the scenes that tries to check to see if there is an existing account, okay, for the account number that you specified. So we're going to implement that functionality. We're going to also have a way to view your transactions. Okay, so the history of your transactions from start to finish, right? Then here are database entities. So I've come up with a few entities we'll be needing, just very simple. Okay, so for now we're going to have an account entity. It's going to have an ID. It's going to be a unique identifier. It's also going to be the primary key as well. Then we're going to have a username field. Okay, this will be the unique username. This could be an email. Okay, I'm going to also have the password field as well. So emails will be unique as well. Passwords, let's see. So we're going to have a length of, okay, so for ID, let's have a length of let's say 50. For username, let's have a length of 200. Then for password, let's have a length of, let's say, 496. We might do some hashing, okay, maybe later, or even doing while building it. So we'll talk about that when the time comes. So we're going to have full name. This is also going to have a length of, let's say, at least 100, or at most 100 rather. We're going to have balance. So balance should be a decimal, okay, or a double, depending on how we want to represent it, right? And for now we'll give the default precision, but if you're dealing with like money, you might have some balances that might be more than double precision digits, so more than let's say two decimal places. So you might want to go like very deep, like a lot of zeros after the decimal. Okay, but for now we won't worry about that. So account number, this will be the account number for the user. Going to have a length For the account number, let's use the standard new band length. It's going to have a length of 10. And for pin, this will be the pin. So we're storing the hash of the pin. I think we should name this password hash as well, because we don't want to store the plain password. So let's do that. Since we're hashing the pin, let's hash the password as well. So the pin hash is going to have, let's say, length of let me give it like 500. Should be more than enough. Then created that. This is when we it's going to store the date this account was created, and this is going to also store the date the account was last modified. So any updates you made, you are going to see when that update, the last time the account was updated, either the balance was updated, or the pin was changed, or the password was changed. So this last modified will hold the last value, the last time this account was changed. Then we have a transaction entity, which represents a transaction that was done by an account. Okay, so so that's going to make it unique. It's also going to be a primary key. I'm going to give it a length of 50. So we have double amount, which will be double. So amount can have decimal places, so that's why I'm making it double. Created that when the transaction was initiated. So transactions will be instant. Okay, we won't have the concept of pending, success, or failed, but we could have that. Okay, let's add the status. Okay, let's add the status. So status, it could be a string. It's going to be a norm of, let's say, pending, successful, failed. Okay, and it's also going to have a length. Let me use this. It's also going to have a length of, let's say, maybe 50, maybe. Okay, this, let's say 20. This text sounds more than 20. None of them is more than 20, but let's just use 20. So created that when the transaction was initiated, and since a status might update later, but for now it will be instant. So let's just have created that when it was. Normally you don't update a transaction, okay, but we can also store that as well. So let's store when the transaction was last modified. It will likely be the same date as when it was created, but we'll see. So beneficiary account ID, this will be the ID of the beneficiary of this transaction, so who is getting the money. Okay, and this will be a foreign key to the ID, to the primary key of account. Okay, and also for sender account ID, who is sending the money, or whose account are we debiting, or this is whose account are we crediting. Okay, so this will also point to the ID. Okay, then we'll also need to have some checks when we are making the transaction, so that we don't send, you can send money to yourself. So we'll do such checks as well. So maybe we could just tag maybe foreign key here. I could just do foreign key here. Alright, so these are tasks we'll be doing. Okay, so we'll be setting up the database, the tables. We'll be setting up our database helper. This will be PHP. Okay, so we'll have like certain classes or functions that we'll use to help us handle communication between our database, so that we won't stress ourselves later. Then we'll also define this our data models and entities. So this will represent these entities in PHP way. Then after doing them in the SQL way here, we'll do them in the PHP way here. And this So here we'll add data access helper methods for entity. So this will help us like bridge the gap between our database, what's on our database, and what is on our application layer. So when we need a list of, let's say, accounts, or we need to fetch a list of transactions reside in the database in SQL. Okay, or in database we use SQL to query that database, but PHP doesn't understand SQL. We can't really take what we get from our database and use it exactly in PHP. We need something that will translate, or that will transform the data from SQL or from our database layer to a format that we can make sense of in our application layer. So that's where the PDO objects or PDO classes can help us to do that. Okay, so we'll also create helper methods to represent our UI. So we'll need maybe ways to get input from the user, ways to display input maybe in a nice manner. Okay, we'll come up with stuff like that. Notice CLI, so it might not be that nice, but anyways. So we'll also prepare menu manager. So this will represent our menu. So this will be the thing that would handle showing the different menus, and also transitioning between menus, or navigating between menus. So you are in the dashboard, you want to navigate to viewing your transaction history, so the menu manager will take care of that. Then also, once we are done with that, then we'll start implementing features. We'll implement the sign up features first, because you need an account to have access. Then we'll implement the login feature. Then we'll implement the transaction pin setup. So usually when you log in for the first time, we check to see if your account, your pin has been set. Now, this is also an important feature, because the pin is not necessarily set when you create your account. So which means that it is possible that pin hash can be null. So I think we should indicate that pin hash is also nullable. So we'll check if it's null, and if it's null, then we'll bring up the prompt for the user to set up their pin. Then we'll implement the account lookup feature, where we can look up an account, okay, by its account number. And we'll also implement the fund transfer feature. So you can see there's a kind of dependency between features. So this can't work without this, this can work without this, this can work without this. You can transfer without looking up an account number, so like that. Okay, and then once you've been able to fund, you'll be able to make transfer, you'll be able to like see your transaction history, right? See all the transactions that have taken place. Okay, and you should also be able to change your PIN, or maybe change your password, so we implement that as well. So that will be all for now. We would work the next video. We'll be working on this, setting up database and tables. Okay, looking forward to working on this with you in the next one.